We are deeply honored and humbled that President Obasanjo can actually take a minute and a few hours to spend time to discuss with us, the younger ones. I qualify as a younger one when President Obasanjo is here. Of course, if he wasn't here, I'll be one of the ancient ones. But he'll be able to discuss with us based on his experience and knowledge. And I dare say, you cannot find a more experienced and knowledgeable former president of this country and statesman than President Olusegun Obasanjo. So I'd like to please appeal. Please keep your voice down, sir, please, if you don't mind. Thank you very much, sir. Please. Thank you. Well, you guys, cameramen, please try not to block them. They're getting quite upset. So please. Good. So I would like to humbly invite Mr. President Olusegun Obasanjo, sir, to please join us. So you see, who knows Baba's age here? See how agile he is. So I'd like to also, sir, invite someone that what we're trying to do in this intergenerational engagement is we want to make sure that all the generations are truly represented. And of course, today we have Chief Osita Chidoka. Osita is someone you're all familiar with. And of course, thank you very much for coming, Osita. You'll be joining. And then, to make sure it's an intergenerational engagement, meaningful intergenerational engagement, I'd like to, of course, invite the moderator of this event, someone who I also have tremendous respect for because of her capacity, and of course, someone who represents that younger generation, Chidi Cold Sweat. Years old. By the grace of God, I was elected into the Senate. By the time I was 35, going on 36, I had become a reasonably seasoned politician. And there was going to be an election coming up shortly thereafter in 1999. And it was a transition from one military rule, as it was then, to what we now have today. And that transition was, of course, going to usher in a democracy, a presidential system of government, a presidential election. And, of course, there was a race. There was a party primary, the general elections. And to cut a long story short, lots of you who are in this room were probably under the age of 10 or 15 in 1999, when President Olusegun Obasanjo was elected, duly and fairly elected as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I worked for that campaign as a young man because I believed in the cause, because I believed in the agenda. I worked not just for the campaign, but I worked hard to ensure that we also win the gubernatorial election in Cross River State, and that we also can have a fair democracy in Cross River. By the grace of God, Donald Duke became governor. Thereafter, I had the privilege of being appointed by my boss as his special advisor on utilities. I still do not know my job description. The reason I don't know my job description was that my boss would wake up one morning and tell me, Leo, you're going to upper deck to close it down. He'd wake up another morning and tell me, Leo, you're going to NEPA to straighten it out. And I'm just a special advisor to the president. And this is a story I always tell the young people. I wasn't related to the president, but he saw in a few young people dynamism that he thought he could exploit. And I wasn't the only one. There were several of us who were engaged by President Obasanjo as young people to serve Nigeria in what can arguably be viewed as the best government we have had since 1999. And I'm not flattering anybody. Some of those young people, and they were young then, include people like Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, people like Nasir El-Rufai, people like Obiageli Ezekwesili, people like Charles Soludo, and several others, all young people. And of course, Ochita. He was like the baby. And so, and he just threw responsibilities as us, as young men. How could I become in charge of NEPA and eventually Minister of Power and Steel and Minister of Education? How does he make Osita Chidoka the chairman and chief executive and co-marshal of the Federal Road Safety Commission? That was a new organization that needed straightening out. So when we talk about intergenerational dialogue, I don't think we can find a more better representation than President Olusegun Obasanjo. But beyond that, for me personally, when I turned 50, many years ago, when I turned 50, I took a decision to start the Bridge Foundation. From the experience I had garnered working with my mentor, when I say experience, I'm sure Shita will share some of it with you and others. Experience, you don't sleep when you work for President Obasanjo. I'll tell you one story. One day, President Obasanjo was going to about 5 different countries, and I had the misfortune of being on his entourage. So we got to the first of the countries. I think or the second, I think it was China, the second. And the protocol officers to the president put us in the same hotel with the president. And so we finished the program, official program, around 6 p.m. 7 p.m., we had dinner with our president. At about 9 o'clock, I said, let me try and get some sleep. Then, around 10 o'clock, I got a phone call in my room. Gas PA called me that Mr. President wants to see you. I said, isn't he resting? We traveled today. He said, he's waiting for you. I ran upstairs, 10 p.m. He had already written notes of what he's going to tell me and discuss with me. So we talked for about an hour, and I said good night. I went to bed. 2 a.m., my phone rang. And they said, Baba wants to see you. I said, 2 a.m.? I came upstairs. He said, oh, Liel, sorry for waking you up, but I just had this on my mind, and he had some more notes. I'm telling you about leadership. Listen carefully, you, the young ones. He had notes already, which he wanted to discuss with me at 2 a.m. on a foreign trip. So we finished at about 3 a.m. and I went to bed at 3 a.m. Guess what happened? 5 a.m. my phone rang. True story. I said, 5 a.m. in the morning. PA said, Baba is looking for you. I just put on my clothes because I knew there was no more sleep after that. So I went back, and Baba had more notes on power. And we went through that process into breakfast. Baba went in, changed, and we went out. I said, no, this is too much. So you know what I did? By the time we got to the next city, I called his protocol officers. And I whispered to them, please, see this hotel that you checked me into. Don't ever check me into the same hotel with Papa. So this is the type of leader that we've had as a nation. And that is why some of us have the greatest respect for him. So when the foundation, the concept of the foundation, based on my own experience working with him, and the need to mentor our young people, the need to build a new generation of leaders came to my mind. We knew that we needed a transformational type of leadership grooming that would ensure that these young men and women that we have in this room, a lot of them who have been cohorts and have attended our fellowship program, have what it takes to lead in this age. And yes, there's more technology and there's much more, or a few other things that are available, but leadership remains the same. And when I thought of the foundation, I was 50 years old, it was 12 years ago, and I invited His Excellency President Olusegun Obasanjo to inaugurate the foundation. And that was the beginning of the Bridge Leadership Foundation. At the time, a lot of people were like, these politicians, pet project, you know, we will not fund them, we can't support them. So it was a struggle, but I adhered to my belief. I believe so strongly in this, that whatever it took to keep it going, I did it. Because I knew that in Nigeria, there was a gap that needed to be addressed. And so it is elating for me, it's exciting for me that 12 years post inauguration of the Bridge Leadership Foundation, I have with us the former president of this country, the one who everyone knows, acknowledges as Baba, the one who I believe those of you who are in this room today would have the privilege, very rare privilege, of listening to. And I want you guys, today is not a day for your phones. Please put away your phones. This is not a time for cameras. When you get an opportunity like this as a young man or woman, pay rapt attention. Pay rapt attention, take notes, and be able to understand what leadership is about. President Obasanjo is as active today as he was when he was president. I don't think, if not more active, I don't think there's any president or anybody that we know that is as active and as agile as he is. Recently, I was with him in Abuja, and something had been agitating Mr. President's mind. It is our democracy. And he was very concerned about the nature and the practice of our democracy in Africa. And in thinking it through, he thought that there was a need to rethink democracy in Africa, that is, Western liberal democracy. Was there a need for us to have another thought about how we practice democracy to strengthen it? And so we invited a few of us from a dialogue to discuss Western liberal democracy. And in the course of that discussion, We talked extensively about our nation, the younger generation, and the future of our country. That is why, as a young people who hold the future of our nation, we must consider this particular event an intergenerational dialogue, one that is critical at this stage. I want to appreciate the NYFF, who are partners for this program, and LEAP Foundation, who have worked with us through the years, particularly for our fellowship program. I want to also appreciate some of our leaders who have joined us, and I pray that we would have an interesting dialogue. That's why we call it a dialogue, an intergenerational dialogue. Please learn, because there's no substitute for experience. There's no substitute for knowledge. And please do not express too much of your opinion, because you're not yet at that level where your opinion reshapes policy. This is the time to listen. Then when you get there, your opinion will be well-fashioned to reshape policy. So please take advantage of this opportunity. Take advantage of this experience. This is not showmanship. This is a serious dialogue about leadership and intergenerational participation in governance. On that note, I want to again, on behalf of everyone, hand the microphone over to Chidi, who will conduct moving forward. Thank you very much, sir.
Let's sit down. Let me how far you have gone out of it. Since you thought of it, established it. More grease to your elbow. Let me appreciate the presence of other leaders who are here. But I don't know which one of the title you have that I should. Huh? Your Excellency, which one? Well, I'm happy that you are here. Let me appreciate others that are here. Let me appreciate. I think when we were there, Sita would have been one of the youngest. But the young shall grow. He has even grown beard and grey one as such. Thank you for inviting me. I think what you have asked me to comment on slightly different from what I have here. The Nigerian we want. Now you said I should talk about leadership. I am now torn apart. Is it this one that I should talk about? or leadership? Let me talk a little bit about leadership. Yes. But I don't want to take too much of your time going on a monologue, because we will all benefit more with dialogue and monologue. There may be some ideas in your mind or some issues that you really will want to put on the floor for us to discuss. But if we are going to talk about leadership, then the question I will ask is, who is a leader? Anybody want to try? We are even all afraid of trying to definition of a leader. Okay, if you are afraid, why don't we say a leader is one who leads? Would that be correct? A leader is one who leads. What that means is that in all walks of life, we need leaders. Because in all walks of life, you need people who will lead. So a leader is someone who leads. Then what must someone who leads, what must he be armed with? What sort of person must he be? If you are going to lead, first, you must have knowledge. If you don't have knowledge, you are a zero leader. Zero. The military valued leadership, probably more than any other. Not that they value it, they even value it to the point of almost worshiping it. And the reason is because of what I call the importance of leadership. Knowledge. Very, very important. When I finished my training in UK, time was what? A little bit 12 years after the end of the World War. And the British have what they call British Army of the Rhine. And it was as close to war front get to be posted to Germany and serve with any of the British Army unit there. And I served with what they call King's Own Yorkshire Light Infantry. My company commander was totally ignorant. Totally ignorant. Was one of those who was made an officer during the war with inadequate training and inadequate preparation. We had that during our civil war. We look at somebody who was all right, we give him field rank. We call it field. Go beyond that place where we give it to him because it's not recorded in the army headquarters. They don't even know. The army headquarters didn't know about him. And this captain was more or less like that. And I just back, came out of training. I knew all the new doctrine, all the new tactics. And because we have something they call 2-inch mortar, and it's smaller than 3-inch mortar. Because the 2-inch mortar couldn't go too far. And even during the Second World War, it caused a lot of what do you call it? Those who died as a result of the war. It caused a lot of casualty. Caused a lot of casualty among own troops. So, as a result, the army has banned the use of what they call high explosive, 2-inch mortar. They allow is smoke, which could not do much harm. And then we went on exercise with our captain, the OC of our company. And then we get there. And Lieutenant Obasanjo, what will you use in that? I said, sir, I will use machine gun. He said, you are wrong, you are wrong. You should use. Of course, I couldn't say no, because he was the one who was wrong. And but when we exercised and we came back to the mess, one lieutenant like me came to me and said, you didn't agree with the OC when he asked you to use HE 2-inch mortar. I said, I didn't. He said, why didn't you? I said, well, I know he was, and I was right, but what is the point in me arguing with him when he is my boss? A wise man. I don't know whether I was a wise man or not. But I knew that throughout my stay with that battalion, I knew that my OC had no knowledge. And my respect for him went almost to zero. Of course, as my boss, he remained my boss, but I knew that. So he was a leader. He was a leader that I will not even go to war with. Because with the knowledge he has, so archaic, he will be the one who will be my undoing in war. So knowledge is very, very important, and accurate knowledge. But I won't bore you teamwork and team leadership and all that you will get. But one thing, my office, I give 20 leadership principles, factors. You say we rather than high and all that. But I ended the 20th, which is the fear of God and proximity to God. The fear of God and proximity to God. You probably won't get that in any leadership book. But when you are a leader and you do not fear God, then you are a dangerous leader. When you are a leader and you are not close to God, you are a leader not to be close to. So, leadership is very important. And as I said, the military put a very, very test on it. So, the thing is this, whether in the military, in the private sector, in the diplomatic world, politics, wherever you may choose to look at, leadership is very important. And the principles are basically the same. Basically the same. Point is, be a leader and a good leader. You must have certain characteristics, certain attributes. Knowledge is good enough, good rather, but not enough. How honest are you? How diligent are you? What is your level of integrity? What values do you stand for? What can we say about you? A man of compassion, a woman of compassion. What are the values that you cherish? What are the attributes? They're very, very important. For me, character, values, attributes matter very much to me. I'm not saying that but look at the people. Will forgive me to make reference to the book that I'm familiar with. The Bible. Moses was a great leader, but he wasn't without sin. He even committed murder. And yet, God singled him out to be the one to take the children of Israel out of Egypt. And God did the same with David. David was a murderer. The good thing about David is that he never committed the same sin twice. But there are 10 commandments given to Moses. David disobeyed 8 of them. So if you fail in 8 out of 10, you get only 20%. And yet, God described him as a man after my heart. A man after God's heart. What did God see in him? To so describe him. Well, he was a great man. Look at the prank he played on his brother. Of course, maybe you can say he's having his own back. What I'm trying to emphasize is that, yes, God has chosen you as a leader. Don't flinch. Don't flinch. Make yourself available as a leader. And serve. Serve humanity and God as God wants you to serve. Let me now end on that by saying that in you and in me, there's innate leadership quality. In you and in me, there's innate leadership quality. And the good thing about leadership is that it can be acquired, it can be enhanced, you can be trained. And that's part of what you are doing here. Again, yeah, I thank you for doing this. And this is an opportunity. Take every advantage of it. I think when we have question and answer, you can ask me more questions on that. Let's now look at this. Nigeria, we want bridging generational. There are 6 words there that are key, that I will want us to just quickly, so 7 minutes, look at. Many people don't believe in Nigeria. And don't let us deceive ourselves. And if you don't believe in Nigeria, how can you start talking about Nigeria? How can you talk about something you don't believe in? And to believe in Nigeria, you have to be a Nigerian. I don't say that you have to be born in Nigeria. Being born in Nigeria does not make you a Nigerian. And I used to say, and that you will find action and reaction. Give me a Nigerian, I will probably go places with him or her. But you have to believe Nigeria before we can talk about Nigeria. Some people still believe that it's what do they call it? Geographical expression. Tell me which country is not geographical expression. Don't tell me, unless my geography has gone sour. Tell me which country is not geographical expression. But every country has history, how they came about. And the fact of the history of how you come about does not matter, does not mean that your country can be a country that you will love, and cherish and hope for the best for. So first of all, we have to accept that Nigeria is ours. We love it. We cherish it. It's imperfect. We will come back to that. Nigeria, you have no alternative, no other country. So if we now agree that Nigeria is a country that we believe must be treated as a country, then we go to the next one. We, that's taking, not just you. We. And we must mean that we get critical mass of us, critical mass of us who will talk of we. And that critical mass matters. Critical mass matters. I will say here, what you are doing is very good. But we need 10, 20, 30 of years doing what you are doing for us to be able to critical mass. We it's what we want. Because what we want at times is what we need. Is it what we want or what we need or what we desire? What will we go for? All of them. Somebody said all of them. What we need and what we desire. But it must be something that comes from us. Let's say what we want and what we need. Where we want and we need. We need. What's the next? Bridge is very important too. Before you go to generation, bridging is very important, which means there's a gap. There's a gap between my age and your age. I always say this, the generation that gave us independence, whatever we may say about them, some said they give it to us on a platter of gold. That's why we don't know how to make use of it. Say whatever you like to say. They gave us independence. Some say, well, they didn't fight for it. If you want to go and fight for it, go and do your own fighting. They gave us independence. And we must be grateful to them. Whatever else you want to say about them. My generation, I won't say it's a perfect generation, but we fought for the unity of Nigeria. That's no yoke. It's a serious thing. My generation fought for the unity of this country. You may say, yes, the army came and they caused katakata. Say whatever you like. But my generation, which may also be part of those in the army that caused katakata, also for the unity of this country. And you cannot. We also lay the foundation of democracy. We also, you want to accept it or not? We fought for the unity of this country. We laid the foundation of democracy. Then Pierre said the next generation is Osita's generation. I don't know where Pierre is putting himself. Maybe he's putting himself between Osita's generation and my generation. Osita, where do you want us to put him? Same with you. In between. Now, but on a serious note, I will say, after all, what will they claim? What will they claim? That you must think about. What will you be your claim? What will you say? But between the generations, there is gap to be bridged. There's gap. Valley to be bridged. That is why gathering like this is important. What do I know that you do not know? What are your aspirations that may not be my own aspiration? I grew up in a village. I entered secondary school in a town. I never saw a telephone. And the telephone in my secondary school never rang for all the years that I was in that secondary school. I grew up. I never wore a pair of shoes until I was in Form 3. Now you can see the difference between me and my children. I grew up when I would see television, it was black and white and only one station. When it became 2 stations, you have to get up and go and change to the second station. Then, when television started having remote control, I didn't know how to use the remote control. My children will say, "Dad, come on, give it to us, we change it." Now, but then, what they know that I may not know, not anywhere what I know that they do not know. And it is only through interaction, through dialogue, through this type of meeting that we can have that bridging between generations. That's what you call generational gap to be bridged. I think for now I will stop there, except something that I saw and which you sent to me earlier. and that is in our bridging the gap, the generational gap, we need to have common objective. Are we bridging? That common objective, I think in the paper you sent to me, you call it vision. Because otherwise, what are we, what do you and I agree on? That is a problem. Call it, if you like, commonality of purpose, call vision. Guiding light, if you like, principles that we should live by, or better still, dream. Dream. What should be the content of our dream? What should our dream be composed of? What should dream be made of? We cannot dream without remembering the past. Our history must come into consideration. If we lose our dream, if we lose our history, we lose our memory. And if we lose our memory, it means that you won't even remember what you ate last night. You need to remember that. History must come into consideration when we start considering our dream. Culture must come into it. Values must come into it. What I call common desires and human commonality. All human commonality. You want life. I want life. That's common to us. Doesn't matter where you come from. Doesn't matter your race. Doesn't matter your religion. You like life and good life. Madam, don't you? I do. Lord, that is something that is common to us. Doesn't matter which tribe you claim to be, which religion you prefer or you profess. Same blood that is in you, that is in me. We have commonality of blood. That reason, there's no difference between you. Because you love life, I love life. Your blood is the same as my blood. There's no. We have the same identity. Commonality. Life, I put blood, and humanity. You are a human being. Character may be a little bit. You are still a human being. You love peace, I love peace. Not love peace. Of security. But one thing about security is that it will not be security for you alone. Security for you and insecurity for your neighbor. That will not work. It must be common security. Common security. And of course, prosperity. It must be shared prosperity. Common security and shared prosperity. These are common. These are desirable. What we all desire, what we all want, and what we all need. I just want to talk about two countries. I've agreed that we call it dream, with vision and all that. America. In 1931, one American called Truslow Adam coined what he called American dream. And he sees that dream as a land in which life should be better, richer, fuller for everyone, with opportunity for everybody according to his ability or achievement. There's something in it for everybody. Of course, they did not forget how they came to America. Initially, because they were displeased. That was at the back of their mind. They didn't get opportunity. That was at the back of their mind. Adam's dream captured everybody's imagination in America. They are of American dream. And when you ask them what is American dream, invariably they give you the add to it or embellish it in one form or the other. Not too long ago, and 11 years ago, the president of China came up with a stated dream for China. What is it? It was based on what he called a century of humiliation. And then never again will China be humiliated. But a century of humiliation. Do not shy away from their history. They were humiliated even by the Japanese. And he said, never again. They took into consideration. We are running from our history. We are covering up our history. The history of Nigeria is part of our history. That was an attempt at secession in this country. It was part of our history. Why do we want to cover that up? It's part of our history that there was a coup in this country and there was Araba. What is Araba? That's part of our history. Why should we run away from it? We should learn the right lesson from it. It was part of our history. that a leader in this country was sentenced to prison for treason. It's part of our history. And we should learn the right lesson from it. We shouldn't cover it up. What lesson can we learn? And what can it inform? History guide our dream. What is the Nigerian dream? Should we have a dream? Of course, I believe we should have a dream. What should be the content of our dream? We should not run away from our history. I've said that. There should be no holier than thou. We have all gone wrong. We have all offended ourselves. And do mutual forgiveness and then put the past behind us and move forward. Oh, yes, this is bad. This particular one is bad. If it's bad, we are all bad. There's so much bad in the best of us, and so much good in the most of us. And that should be what should inform our dream. Common aspiration, as I said earlier, for life, living, and essentialism. Let there be integrity. Let there be integrity and honor above all. Let there be generational appreciation. And young brothers and sisters, don't let anybody come and tell you you are leaders of tomorrow. You are leaders today. If you wait till tomorrow, that tomorrow will have been destroyed before you get there. Leaders today. If take into law, young to run. We have a law on that now. Huh? Not too young to run. At the age of 80, I am competing with my grandson, 30. I'm competing with my son of 55. And I say, you are not too young to run. Then when will you have the space to run? With your time. Don't let anybody tell you. And let us come up. Succinct slogan of where we want and need. Let me try something. Better, I'm sure. An inclusive society. And a land of peace, security, stability, and opportunity for all, where character, values, and attributes are not ignored, where equity, justice, and competence are rewarded, encouraged. Among all generations without any discrimination. That covers whatever you may think of. It covers generation gap, it covers aspiration, covers opportunity, covers justice, equity. As I said, you can do better. May be able to come up with something better. But let us have a Nigerian dream that builds together, inspires, and drives. Builds, holds together, inspires, and drives. That should be our dream.
We're here today because a vision by President Obasanjo to invest in people and to bring out their best potentials has led to having this bridge foundation. And I want to tell a story that I don't know whether Governor Meki Hedioha knows this. In 2007, we would not have gone back to the House of Reps because certain forces were strongly opposed, angry with him, and didn't want him to go back to the House of Reps. And they almost got Baba to agree that he will not go back to the House of Reps for so many, what they called infractions. So I went to Baba and I said, this man is a person that if you stand with him, you know where you stand. He comes across, sometimes he can grate people, he can annoy people because he can't hide his feelings. So if you know where he stands there. So if there's anything you want to do for me, do it for Emeka. Just allow him to go to the house. In a few years' time, you will see what I'm telling you about him. And in a few years' time, he saw it when he became deputy speaker and then on to become governor. And because when he became governor of Imo State, he had tried to be governor, lost, and then came back and won. It was an overwhelming win. And then the Supreme Court of Nigeria, in his wisdom, took a decision that caused me a problem. After his judgment was delivered, I was in Washington, D.C. I went to Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala's office at Gavi Foundation and said, I don't want to go back to Nigeria again. I just came for a visit. I just want to start something else in Washington because this judgment is such that I can't see a future for Nigeria. But Ngozi said something to me. He said, Baba has invested so much in you, and a lot of people have invested in you. You can't run away from this. So we came back. And fast forward to 2023 now, elections has happened in Imo, Bayelsa, and Kogi. And we saw all kinds of results that did not show that the elections were done at the polling units. You saw some of them, right? I shared some of the results I saw. One from Okigwe had 95% voter turnout. Now, I don't think that Governor Uzodinma will have lost the election, or Governor of Bayelsa, or the man in Kogi. I don't know who won or who lost. But I think that fundamentally, if our elections are not right, if people can get away with any form of brigandage, even by the winner, it means that we can stop any other person from getting there. So I decided to do something because I'm hopeful about Nigeria. And I discussed it with Baba. He said he's hopeful about Nigeria. I wrote to INEC and I said, as a citizen of Nigeria, I'm making a Freedom of Information request. I want you to give me the BVAS report of all the accreditation done in the election. I just want to see where this 95% voter turnout happened. It didn't happen for Zik. It didn't happen for Peter Obi in Imo. It didn't happen for Mbakwe, but it just happened now. Everybody said to me, oh, this is a waste of time. It's not going to happen. INEC will not give you. You know, INEC, this is Nigeria. You're always over your grammar too much. But today, INEC complied and sent me 300 pages of all the BVAS accreditation for Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa states. I just got it before I came here. And looking at the BVAS report, I haven't gone in, it's on a PDF file, so I will take out time and transfer it to an Excel sheet, and I will share with Nigerians what the BVAS is telling us as against what the result is saying, or whether the two of them are the same. We will know that in a few days. But that is because we need to act. And that is the story of the Bridge Foundation and the Bridge Builders. Now, before Bridge Foundation, President Obasanjo as president, just at the last few months of his presidency, started what he called a list of Nigerian bridge builders. I don't know if you remember the list. It was published in the newspapers. And he said, these are Nigerians I feel have no hang-ups. They will be Nigerians and they will take Nigeria to the next level. So there were 50 of us in the bridge builders, and there was another group. I remember the name. And he called them. So we published it in the newspapers. He shared that list with me. We looked at it, and it was of people that will impact Nigeria. And what is interesting is that, and I will bring out the list again because I think I have a copy of that list, so that I will share it again for Nigerians to see the vision of 2007 and where we are today. So the idea that Nigeria we want, we had an opportunity to see the Nigeria we want, and that was between 2003 and 2007. Nigeria was roaring on all fours. Our economy was growing at 7%. The middle class came back to life. People bought brand new cars. I finished my master's degree in America and packed my bag and came back to Nigeria. Everybody I knew in America that time came back to Nigeria. Whether you were from Harvard, you were from Oxford, you were from Cambridge, people were returning to Nigeria because we saw the country gathering momentum in one direction. So nobody should ask you the Nigeria we want. Go back to 2003 to 7, you will see the Nigeria we want. In that Nigeria, ethnicity was not an issue. We didn't discuss where you came from. If you entered President Obasanjo's room in the evening, you will see a Nasir El-Rufai, a Nuhu Ribadu, a Lieli Muke, an Ojo Madekwe, an Osita Chidoka, everybody sitting in the same room. We didn't remember our ethnicity. That is the Nigeria we want. The Nigeria we want is that Nigeria where young Nigerians, and I'm saying young and smart Nigerians, looked to Nigeria with hope. That was the period the story came out in international media, Africa Rising. Africa was rising again. McKinsey wrote a report about where Africa will be by 2025 and by 2050. The idea of BRICS came up. The idea of the next 11 came up. The idea that Nigeria was going to be the leader of the black world was cemented. And I'll tell you 3 things that cemented it. 1, we had a national vision. And I'll tell you, in every sector, our first national vision was that we were going to get 10,000 megawatts of power. And that was his assignment, to get us 10,000 megawatts of power. Everybody in Nigeria knew that that was the destination. Balanto, all the new power station contracts were awarded. Yes, AFAM, everything was started in 2005, thereabouts. In that 2005, we created a national vision that we want to be exporting 4 million barrels of oil per day. And we need to raise our proven reserves to 40 billion reserves to also get OPEC to give us 4 million barrels per day. So then I was working with ExxonMobil. We as ExxonMobil met and decided that we are going to contribute 25% of the 4 million. So we are going to now do from our 500,000 to 1 million barrels. The ExxonMobil president came to Nigeria, and I took him to see President Obasanjo. He was in his, the man was shocked when he saw Baba in his 90s. Baba was wearing jalabia and came out. The ExxonMobil president was shaking. Baba said, sit down, listen, tell me, what will you do for me if I sign you people new acreage? The man said, well, we have been working a year. He said, not that. I want to hear what you will do for Nigeria. What will you do for us if we do this? And that was when Mobil made the promise. We will give our onshore assets to Nigerians. We will sell it to Nigerians. And we will produce 1 million barrels a day. So we committed to ERA, the deep sea terminal that ExxonMobil built. That was when ERA was built. That was when Yoho was built. These were deep sea terminals to produce. The target was to add another 500,000 barrels a day. That was when Shell concluded Bonga. So what do we want as a nation? We want vision. We want a leadership that energizes us to look at the future, and you can locate yourself in that vision. Once the president said 4 million barrels a day, ExxonMobil aligned and located themselves in that vision. We will contribute 25%. We will build power plants to achieve this. So the Nigeria we want is clear to us. What are the obstacles to the Nigeria we want? The great obstacle is what I call state capture, the capturing of Nigerian state by special interests. It is not ethnic. It is the capture by special interests. And these special interests were the interests that our president then looked at and said, that was the third part of the vision. I am going to export Nigerian businesses to Africa. We need to have a big Nigerian company that will go out to Africa and build ports, build airports, give loans to African countries. What the Chinese are doing in Africa now, Nigeria had planned to do it in 2007. That was what gave rise to the Transcorp, Transnational Corporation, to build a company that has the strength and capacity to go out in Africa, own seaports, own airport concessions, own businesses. That was the idea of Transcorp. So if you're asking the Nigeria we want, we know the Nigeria we want. What we are lacking is the people to lead us to the Nigeria we want. And the greatest obstacle is that our election process has been hijacked again. So we can no longer determine the people who tell us what we want. Even if they cannot deliver it, but it will be our choice whether they will go back or they will stay away from office. Is that correct? Yes. So that for me is the minimum requirement. That's why I told Baba during our conference last 2 weeks, I said, we're not rethinking liberal democracy. We are rethinking Nigeria's opposition to it. We should stop rigging elections. We should conduct elections as it should be done. We should be public about policy. We should have a National Assembly that holds the executive to checks. If we can't do that, then we can't say whether the Western democracy has worked or not. It's after we try it that we can say, these are the contradictions, and we can recreate it in our own image. But we can't abuse Western democracy as we are abusing it now, and we say it's giving us problems. No, for me, my idea is that we should have the power to bring in and remove our leaders. That's number one of how we will get there. Once we cement that to being able to do elections, then we will begin to look at the people that have the vision. We plan to build a railway from Lagos to Kano. 2-lane railway from Lagos to Kano. President Obasanjo came with the Chinese at the last minute of his government. He signed an agreement for $8 billion to build that railway. 2 tracks, Lagos to Kano. President Yar'Adua comes to office. Again, you know, sometimes the small people, you can be young, and the elders will not listen to you. I said to Baba, this is our candidate. He doesn't look like he's aligned with us. So he said, no, I know the family. I know him very well. What did the man do when he came? I was in that meeting. They said, The price of the thing is inflated. The Chinese contract was not, nobody was there when it was signed. I was commercial then. I said, Mr. President, these people in this room were here when we signed this contract. Okay, it's 2 lanes, it's expensive. Can you call the Chinese and say, build 1 lane and reduce whatever cost you want to reduce? He said no, that we are putting the project on hold. That was how we lost Lagos-Kano. I cried as I left that meeting. This was the fundamental backbone of taking Lagos to Kano direct on standard gauge rail for money that we had. President Obasanjo left $63 billion in foreign reserves, a combination of our foreign reserves and our excess crude accounts. So we had the money. We were not going to borrow to build it. Today we have neither the rail and we have the money. So who is asking us the country we want? I know the country we want. Country we want. So what I want to advise the young people, and that's bringing it to my experience, is that he didn't only lead the vision of the country we want. I came back from the US working for ExxonMobil when I met President Obasanjo for the first time. And after a few interactions, that's why whenever he's talking, I'm taking notes. Because after our first interaction, he just said, are you available to work with us on this? I said, well, I work for ExxonMobil. He said, hey, my daughter works for ExxonMobil. So keep that to yourself. He said, if you're available, I want you to help us do some things. So we started working on it. And that was how our relationship started. He would give me assignments, and like Senator Leal said, he will wake you up by 3 a.m. Uzita, are you sleeping? I said, yes. I won't say yes or no. He said, well, don't sleep. Young people should not be sleeping. Go and open page 40 of that document. Bring it now. Open it. Look at paragraph 4, 5, and 6. Delete them. Add this. I take notes. Bring it to me by 6 a.m. And I have to get to office at 7 in the morning. So, but the vision, the power of his example was so strong that ExxonMobil offered to take me back to the US, just to extricate me from Nigeria. They said, look, go back to our Washington office. Baba said, stay here and work for Nigeria. That's how he made me commercial. So he took a chance on me, but at that time, my preference would have been, it was a nice fancy job in Exxon. Go back to Washington, live in a nice DC with my children, I'll be happy. He said, no, don't do that. Stay here. You have a lot to offer here. So he didn't just take a chance on me. He made me see, if you call me today, if you call any Nigerian today, come and take this or go to DC, will they listen to you? They'll pack their bag and leave Nigeria. But I listened because I could see where I was going. I could see the country that we could become. I could see the possibilities that existed. So this is a rare opportunity for the Bridge Fellows. Because, and I will stop so that you can interrogate him. There are many things I've always interrogated him. I said, now you want to give us national vision. But you were head of state in 1979, and you removed our old national anthem, which said, O God of creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed. What greater vision do we need than that? A nation where no man is oppressed. So ask him again, why did we change that to Arise, O Compatriots? Then ask him again, when the military pays too much emphasis on leadership and tries to train leaders, how did they train Buhari? How did they train Buhari? How did he emerge a major general in Nigerian army? How did they train him? If the military places so much emphasis on leadership. So today is your time. I just want to entice you to know that we are living with a legend who has given us ideas. Anybody calling consultants, anybody to give us national vision is wasting our time. We need to go back. 4 million barrels a day for our crude production. 10 or 15,000 megawatts of power. Our educational system will find new funding sources. That's why he created UBEC. He created the 2% education tax. what do we do? The funding is not enough now to take our tertiary education to where it should be. Where should we get the funding from? Should we pay school fees, or should people pay more, or should we pay more taxes? We need to, and so we don't need a new national vision. The vision is clear. All we need today is to find the leaders who will align to that vision and make Nigeria great. Thank you very much.
This is the type of thing I enjoy, and I love it. Young people who are intelligent, outspoken, who are courageous, then who need to learn. I'm here to teach. Osita, whatever our first national anthem contained, did not contain, it was not written by a Nigerian. And for me, I said that while I'm here, I'm not short of Nigerians who are able and who are capable. When I have to go out, I will go out. I have pride as a black man. That's one of the reasons why I fought the way I fought apartheid. If I have honor and dignity, and there's a black man or a black woman anywhere in the world who is regarded as second-class citizen because of the color of his or her skin, I am as diminished as that black man or black woman. That's my position. And I dare say that the present anthem any way inferior to the first one. And for me, it has all that you need. In fact, the second stanza, people now use it as prayer. Now, what more do you need? Prayer that you know God will answer. Now, I am an incurable optimist about Nigeria, and you know that. The things that we should have that we haven't had, and that will remain. There's no country in the world that has it all. What is important? Critical mass, and I said that earlier. All that you are saying, well, we had it, as you yourself said, then why did they disappear? And you were there when the railway was washed away. You were there. We were working on the electricity. We have ordered all that we needed for the 10,000 megawatts. What happened? The other day, GEC man came to me, General Electric G, said 2 of the turbines are still not installed. We left government in 2007. That's more than 14 years ago. 2 of the turbines are still not installed. So, the way forward for the youth, first of all, please, don't be hopeless. Let Let me know what I know about Nigeria. Get it right. In 2 years, we will forget everything that happened. 2 years. And all we need is one generation. Nigeria will be one of the 10 leading nations of the world. Just one generation. One generation of 25 years. And you are the ones who will do it. For me, I haven't taken the boarding pass yet, but I'm nearing the departure lounge. Now, you are the hope of today and tomorrow for Nigeria. That's why I say don't let anybody tell you of tomorrow. If you don't take it now, you will never take it. I said you have to be positively disruptive. Don't accept things as they are. Positively disruptive. And that's the way. Type of thing that we are talking about, that Osita is talking about. Let us rethink democracy. Let us rethink the content and the context of our own democracy. No African language, and I have done extensive work that has loyal opposition. We don't have it. Because the word for opposition in all the African languages that I've looked at is enemy. And what do you do to the enemy? Then you say you have got it. What have you got? So enemy now you have got. Now, let us. There are many things that we have taken line and sinker. Hook, line, and sinker. What we are saying is let's interrogate. Let's ask ourselves. This. Why is this? You cannot have any government that will work adequately for you without your history, your culture, and your value in it. What is your history in democracy? Osita, what is your history, Nigerian history in democracy? What is Nigeria culture in democracy? What is Nigeria value? Now we have communalism. In my village, you don't go to a meeting and say, and you work on consensus. I end that question because you asked me what you can do. The king of Morocco, not the present one, his father, I was close to his father. I was close to the present king, who is doing well too. I was to his father. Brilliant. Going to receive an American delegation. And he knows that the Americans believe in democracy. So he set up his team. You on the right, you are the government. You on the left, you are the opposition. When they come, you must be. Came and government was abusing the one on the left. and they went away and say, now Morocco is the epitome of democracy. Now, please, first, get into despair. Because if you don't do it, who else will do it? Let us ask the right question at the right time, in the right place, and in the right number. When I said be positively disruptive, I mean that. Negative, not violence. But ask questions and let those. I said to somebody once, I said, look, all these things that you are talking, we will move. Nobody will want to move unless you have been properly tuned. But when you sit down, two of you, and it's in the center, and you start pushing, when he becomes uncomfortable, he will go. How do you make those who need to be made uncomfortable? That's your solution.
I do a program called Political Paradigm, and one of the topics that we talked about recently were your comments about Western liberal democracy, and you've alluded to a lot of that today on your program. One of the criticisms that people have had of that statement from you is the fact that the presidential system of government that we practice in Nigeria was introduced by you. Now, when you say that we need to have a homegrown democratic system, what exactly do you mean? The argument is that the problem is not the system that we operate, but the operators of that system. What do you have to say about that, sir?
I've said to you now, African society and African culture, there's no word for loyal opposition. You have loyal opposition. So how do you deal with that? Now, they have election and they say you go to court. After the election has been rigged, go to court. And the man who asks you to go to court, he knows what he will do. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Yes. I came in, and in fact, when I established democracy, I left government. That's what we know. And if you are going to establish anything different, markedly different, and don't forget, up to 1979, we have parliamentary system. Our presidential system is a move forward from that, because our presidential system has a situation where you have a president who was not ruling, he was reigning. And in African society, you don't have a king who reigns and doesn't rule. So we then went, because that was a problem for us, the parliamentary system. You were not born then, with all due respect. Now, so we then said, look, we must have a king who reigns and rules. That's our system. Now, we have tried it. We have seen it. And what you are saying is that when you find that something is bad, you must continue with it. Einstein said, are doing the same thing, which is not working, and you continue to do it, that's height of stupidity. I don't want to be stupid. So we have tried this for so long. Now let us internalize. Let's ask ourselves. Now, if you have asked, if you rethink, and you come to the conclusion that that's what you should continue on it. But what stops you from rethinking, asking the question? So, if you are from Channel, go back to Channel. Wait. Just give me that. I will not talk about institution. I will not talk about INEC. I will not talk about judiciary. I will not talk about executive. I will not talk about legislature. And I mean that if you want to raise a general issue, raise a general issue. Now, I will not talk about that. I was born and bred in a village. And if you could take me out of the village, you couldn't take the village out of me. So I am still a village boy. And I mean that. My upbringing, my birth, and everything was rural. I told you that I did not see telephone until I was in secondary school. I did not wear a pair of shoes until I was in Form 3. Now, my children will even tell me, look, you don't know how to use this thing, Daddy. My background is different from yours. If you will say, oh, yeah, you will use what I use, because what I was exposed to is different from what you are exposed to today. Now, so it cannot be the same on all fours, but you can find out, you can ask me, oh, you have a particular problem. Yes, I have a particular problem in school. I have to work to finance myself and get myself out of school and finish up secondary school. Now, I wonder whether some people can still have their schools where there can be facilities for that type of thing. So, if you had decided I was going to join the army, and I joined the army, and when I passed the exam to go into the army and the interview, I also had a scholarship. That scholarship is not available today. It was a scholarship for students from non-self-governing territories. And only a few countries that are independent and they have no problem of colonialism that give it. India, America, and I got the scholarship to read theology in America. Now, I then said, well, look, since they could delay that for 1 year, let me try the army. And I went into the army, and I passed, and I continued. And then the story. Now, so if you say yes, what did you encounter? How do you solve that or take that? It's not the same on all fours. At a stage, I had to go to the war front. Soldiers today, even if you are a soldier, you may not have to go to the war front. So how do you handle that problem? There are so many, but the point is this. There are opportunities. And you will see on what I read out, I did not talk of equal opportunities. Because opportunities may not be equal. What is important is that there are opportunities. When you may make use of it, you may not. But what is important is hope. Keep hope alive. Whatever situation, keep hope alive. Thank you.
I like to call myself a nation builder. I studied law. I went to Harvard to study public policy. when you come to Nigeria, it's something different. People say, run for office, you're very smart. But I know I cannot snatch ballot boxes. I cannot cheat. I cannot, so that disqualifies me, I'm from Imo State, and we know what happened recently in Imo State. He gave that example. So for women, we have less than 3% representation. So the chances are even worse for us. But listening to you really today has given me hope. The fact that we had leaders like this that existed, Imo State, I have my, I don't even know what to say, because when that judgment came, we all wept because we had so much hope for Imo State. But I know there's still hope. Thankfully, you're all alive, so, there's still hope. So the point is, and just to wrap up, you've said so much. We need to take action. There's so much learned hopelessness. Jackpying, giving up, we can have the Nigeria we want if we all collaborate, everybody in this room. Baba, please, you will be alive to see that Nigeria, in your lifetime. So definitely. So it's been a wonderful evening. I just wanted to say a few words. We have the Nigerian Youth Futures Fund. Our goal is to be a catalyst for young Nigerians who have innovative ideas to make Nigeria a better place. We can do this. There are more of us that are good than the ones that are bad. And they always say nice people finish last, but if we have people like this who talk about God, who talk about values, who talk about integrity, that means it's possible. Thank you so much, distinguished Senator Lieli Moke. He also played a role in my life in a little way. When I was 17, I won a beauty pageant. I was the first ever Calabar Carnival Queen. I'm not from Calabar State, or Cross River State, sorry. But, he played that role. I'm so happy to see what you're doing for young people. That you need to pay it forward. You need to, pass on that knowledge to the next generation. So, on behalf of myself and the board and, members of the Nigerian Youth Futures Fund, I want to thank everyone for coming. Thank you for giving us this opportunity, Baba. And please, we're going to keep calling on you, to come on various platforms that, initiatives that we have. So, yeah, thank you so much.
Please, let's put our hands together. Chineye, please don't go. We want to quickly have some photo-ops with Mr. Chidoka. And of course, I know my honorable has something to say.